After the seventh seal, the scroll is not mentioned again. Where did it go? The sky receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved from its place. Welcome. We are in Revelation, also known as Sedot, Secrets, chapter 8, and we want to go over this translation up to, I think it was 5 or 6. So, mentioning here that this scroll isn't mentioned again, but that what has just become unsealed at the same time before the final seal gets broken, he seals the 144,000. So we learn that what God really wants is not some kind of stars, physical representation in heaven as a temple, or on earth this temple or his scroll on a dead animal skin to write down his word. He wants to dwell in his people, and he wants the word to become flesh, a temple not made with hands, not carved with tools, but the word written on our heart and to dwell in our entire beings. So in Israel now being complete, these first fruits being presented, and so the whole loaf now being holy, all of Israel being holy to God, all the converts having come in at this point, then this scroll is what is now sealed. So nothing evil can harm it. These trumpets are not judgment on Israel. So they are sealed, and they become the instrument that helps thresh their enemies. So here's some more verses that go along with this. So Revelation would be referring back to Tanakh, where all the stars of heaven will be dissolved. So it starts with stars falling, a third of the lights in the heaven being struck with the trumpets, but the bowls is like the culmination of this, where it's complete now. So at the end of this day, being when the Torah scroll gets rolled up, as I understand it, then also like these skies are no longer necessary. And the New Testament even talks about that this old covenant is passing away, as far as this like need to have it written on a dead animal scroll. So you're not like doing away with an old covenant, you're renewing it. So it dies, but it gets renewed. So you're adding this additional detail of now obey it even more fully, not just outward expectation here, but inwardly from the heart. So what's becoming obsolete is things like where you need a mediator, like prophets, to tell you what the word says. So because it's written on your heart now, this aspect, like Torah dies on the cross, but then it comes alive again. So it's like a renewed of the old. It doesn't like abolish it, but the point was not to have it on like dead scrolls, inanimate objects for God to live in. But now that his body is complete, this is his true temple, even if there could still be a physical temple for those who need a physical representation, because the nations will still exist. But now his body is complete. He doesn't need like these heavens to declare. His people have inherited the promises, all the things like the lights of the stars being laid up for you, like this could be your new garment. It's all become available for them. So it doesn't need to be stored up. Now he can freely open up his storehouse, no veil in between, concealing these things. So all being revealed here. So now he still has a scroll, but I think that the heavens being rolled up, all these other things being destroyed, like the heavens and the earth passing away, then we're seeing that we don't need this physical anymore. It's like the actual scroll, I think, is his body of Israel, also joins with all those who have connected with Messiah. Here it says the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God remains forever. So we understand that heavens and earth passing away when it all catches fire here. This does not do away with his connection with his people. It's that now he doesn't need the day and the night, these kinds of things, these physical representations, these signs that point toward Messiah. And we're learning the book of Revelation is actually two primary secrets, the virgin and the harlot. So like revealing to us not just Messiah, which is what the New Testament is revealing, but also who we are in Messiah, how we have power to also overcome as he overcame. So now we don't need these things that are symbols of what's to come, like the physical Shabbat. Like you can still do these things, but it's like it's just a sign that points to this far greater. And so now this, like, we is what I'm saying, is that we are this scroll. So that day and night cease to occupy their appointed time. If this could happen, and we're kind of seeing it is kind of beginning to happen, at least in Zion, you don't need day and night. Why? You don't need physical light because you have this spiritual light. We reverted all the way back to this eternal day. So even on this seventh day, it's just leading on into, there doesn't have to be any change. Once you've entered into rest, you're remaining in this eternal day of rest. So on the seventh day, you're entering into this eighth eternal day, which is like the same as the seventh day from whatever point you entered in. So like, then my covenant may also be broken with David and my servant and my ministers. But instead of it like being broken, I think you're seeing this transference where you don't need these physical representations. This is what's passing away, the heavens and the earth passing away. You don't need these physical scrolls. It's like everybody knows Torah. It's written on your heart. Reading our translation back into Hebrew with Aleph, Uk, Fith, Ho. And since he opened Ha-Hotham, the seal, Ha-Shvi'i, so in our manuscript, seal is not mentioned. Wahi, this is the seventh, and existed, Damama, I guess this is silence, Bashamayim, in the heavens, Kahatsi, like half, Shanga, hour, Beit, Wa'era, and I saw, Ath, direct object marker, Shiv, Ngath, 7, Ha-Malachim, the angels, Ha-Omdim, the stands, Lifnei, Ha-Elohim, two faces of the gods. So this makes it sound like these are the angels that stand before God, but in our manuscript, they were simply coming to the throne. Wa-Yinathnu, and given Lahem, to them, Shivna, 7, Shofaroth, shofars. Gimel, Wayavo, and he came, Malach, angel, Acher, another, Wayigash, and he approached Al to Ha-Mizbeach, the altar, Umachsath, Zahav, And fire pan golden, beyado, in hand of him, watinathan lo, and was given to him, ketorath, incense, harba, much, la seis, to the give, nim, with, tephiloth, prayers, kol, all, hakedoshim, the holies. In our manuscript, he is offering it as the prayers of the saints. So it's not that he also has the prayer of the saints already, but that this could be representing the prayers of the saints, like it's as the prayers. It seems like the prayers of the saints are also there, and he has maybe coals and incense. Nal, upon Mizbeach, altar hazahav, the golden, so it's the golden altar, asher, which, lifnei, two faces of, meaning the presence of, ha-kisei, the throne, daleth, wayangal, and he, or it, ascended, or upon, nga, san, smoke, ha-ketorath, the incense. So if it says ascended, that's all the way here in the English. Nim, with, tephiloth, prayers, hakedoshim, the holies, miyad, from hand. So it's since it's in construct, it'd be from the hand, because the just appears at the final word typically. Ha malach, the angel, lifnei, two faces of, so it'd be the faces of, since this is a proper word, Elohim, God or gods. Final verse, hey, wayikach, and he took. So action always comes first unless they're trying to put emphasis on a noun. It's more about the action. Ha-malach, the angel, ath, direct object marker, ha-machta, the fire pan, y-mal-aha, and he filled, it looks a lot like angel, Aish, fire, Me'ngal, from upon, similar to like a word for ascend, Ha-mizbeach, the altar, Wayash lech, and he sent, like shelachim are sent ones, Nal, upon. Our word for our manuscript was it fell, a different word than fell, but it was like yitzhak instead of shalach. Nal, upon, haaretz, the earth, why he, and he or it existed, goloth, voices, or ngamim, and lightnings, uv, rakim, and I think this is shaking, warangas, or one of them is shaking, right? Making it be translated as an earthquake. So these are heard probably on earth due to this like maybe higher level of atonement from these living coals that are being sent to the earth and intercessory prayers, perhaps. I don't think these maybe are prayers of saints that are asking, like, please destroy the earth. So there was this, like, vindicate me, but vindicate so that evil doesn't continue to exist. It's more what we were speculating, but that there would be intercessors to help lessen this destruction, to stand in between the dead and the living. So there's definitely this progression here. In chapter 4, I think we were only able to hear voices and thunders and lightnings in that order in our manuscript. Like some people able to hear the voice of God, some people thinking it's just natural phenomena maybe. But now we've progressed where you can feel the ground shaking. So even the physical earth itself waking up to feel this, to kind of have the sons of God reveal this is what they're earnestly desiring to see. So while I think this voices and thunders and lightnings are proceeding from the throne, that it is really just this one voice and we're hearing it differently, that being talked about on earth is now people are able to acknowledge God better, that veil, all those things that divide between this most holy, the holy, they're being lifted or being diminished in these 4 progressions. So this is what I was referencing here in Romans 8, that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creation eagerly waits for the revealing of the sons of God. So it's like this, with the devil falling down to the abyss, this shaking, this trembling to greet him. But with all creation, it's like this shaking because they recognize the voice of their creator. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it in hope, because the creation itself will also be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groans and labors with birth pains together until now. Not only that, but we also who have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, eagerly waiting for the adoption, the redemption of our body. So it's like for the sons of God to be revealed. For we were saved in this hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For why does one still hope for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we eagerly wait for it with perseverance. It's like trying to push through this tight place. That's what Mitzrayim represents. You're in this tight constraint, but you hope. So like against all hope, you're pushing through to get to where God is. Before the Lamb opened any seal, this is probably the level that we were interacting with God on. Voices, thunders, and lightnings. These could maybe, like sometimes lightning can reach earth, but it's more something that is distance. People hear thunder and there's like just a natural thing. It's like how our connection with God was. We don't really seeing God, but people were able to hear his voice. It's just it doesn't like quite reach earth where earth is really shaken by these things. So now, right before we sound this first trumpet, we see this new level of intensity that the earth is experiencing, as far as like this is always happening at the throne. God is always speaking, but we're so distant, many people do not even see God. So now, with this day of the wrath of the Lamb starting, people are unable to deny his work, and that this day has started. So it seems that always this voice is speaking, but people hear it differently. When God spoke from heaven, some people would say it thundered. And when the voice called him up to heaven in chapter 4 to John, then he said this voice that sounds like a shofar. And in chapter 1, it was called a great voice. Maybe it was a many voice. Or I think in our translation, one said great and one said many. So it depends on how you hear it. With the 144,000, it sounded like a lyre. So like this beautiful music, like great water. This is that well that he is leading them to. So like his word, his spirit, that you hear, and this is your nourishment that you drink and eat. Or if it sounds like thunder to you, or causes you to quake and fall down, because on this day we're supposed to be standing. So the same voice speaking, right? But people hearing it multiple ways based on their standing with him, because from his mouth, what is coming out is this two-mouthed sword. So it's bringing like life and death at the same time. So blessing and cursing depending on how you're standing with him. So it's the day of salvation for some that we can look forward to, or it's the day of wrath for others. So this idea of shofars in Tanakh, the idea that the great judgment of the last days is heralded by blasts on the shofar, has its root in the Tanakh. And the shofar is supposed to like put this womb around you of sound and cause a rebirth. Yud-Heh-Waw-Heh will be seen over them. His arrows will go forth like lightning. And Adonai, Yud-Heh-Waw-Heh, will sound the shofar and will move in the storm winds of the south. And Yud-Heh-Waw-Heh, their God, will save them. So at this point, people could just be hearing this like as a resurrection call from the dead, people who are sleeping. So the ones who hear like around this first trumpet could be these ones that are caught up. They're the first trumpet, and right before the final trumpet, this other assembly. So it's like this resurrection sound. So first you can hear it as a resurrection chamber, as a trumpet, and the third set is not actually thunders, it's voices, which sometimes can get understood to be thunders, but I don't think you have to hear it as thunder. You should hear his voice and live. On that day, as a flock of his people, he's saving them, and it also points you back to receiving Torah on Mount Sinai, where the shofar was sounded, and it said, when the final shofar sounds, then you can come up this mountain, and that seems to have never happened. So it's more like a promise for the future. When we get to the bowls, I think it's talking about another angel each time that we tie it in with. So these could be possibly like these angels to the seven churches. So now, starting with the trumpets, though, the shofars, this could be pointing us back to the original sons of God, to the angels. So then each of these sets could have a role to play, with the angels here with the shofars, and maybe with the thunders with Israel, being able to have their voices be heard. And then with the bowls, maybe representing these seven assemblies pouring out the wrath. Just a thought, but since seven angels are mentioned, he's saying they are Uriel, Raphael, Raguel, so each of them, El being God, like the healer of God or whatever, Michael, Sarah, Kael, Gavriel, Remiel. The first four are called ministering angels in the Talmud, the Siddur, and the Kabbalah. Since people tend to fear what they don't understand, the Talmud is just when they wrote down their interpretation of the Torah laws, and the Kabbalah, like received, is what they wrote down their more mystical meaning, like that deals with Messiah. That's the hidden meaning of the Torah, and the Siddur is the prayer book. And so another possibility is Ezekiel 9:2, which speaks of 6 men with slaughter weapons and 1 man among them clothed in linen with a writer's inkwell on his side. Thankfully, God's voice is shaking all that can be shaken so that it does fall, because with all these changes adding to and taking away, it becomes so unclear, and we're left chasing down these little rabbit holes, seeking truth and developing doctrine over things that didn't even exist. So here it says gold incense bowl instead of a golden altar, and our manuscript doesn't even mention an altar. The angel is standing besides the temple. And then in our translation, it's saying that there is a golden altar that he is standing beside. So with this wording, since he's offering it upon the altar in verse 3 here, it seems like this is not Yom Kippur, where he goes inside the veil with this incense, but rather the twice daily offering. So here is the actual manuscript translation. And when he opened the seventh, everyone in the heavens was silent for a moment, and I saw 7 messengers coming before Yud-Heh-Waw-Heh, and 7 shofarot were given to them. And another messenger came and stepped next to the temple, and golden fire pans were in his hand, and much incense was given to him to give it as the prayer of the set apart ones before the temple and before the throne. And the smoke of the incense of the set apart ones went up from the hand of the messenger before Yud-Heh-Waw-Heh. Then the messenger took the fire pan and filled it with fire and poured it out on the earth, and there came voices, thunders, and lightnings. We know the Lamb and the Spirit intercede before God, but can angels also have a part in intercession? So this is what Exodus Rabbah says. When the people of Israel pray, you do not find them all praying at the same time, but each assembly prays separately, first one and then another. When they have all finished, the angel appointed over prayers collects all the prayers that have been offered in all the synagogues, weaves them into garlands, and places them upon the head of God, or the testament of Lewi. In the heaven next to the highest heaven are the angels of the presence of the Lord, who minister and make propitiation to the Lord for all the sins of ignorance of the righteous. And they offer to the Lord a sweet-smelling savor, a reasonable and bloodless offering. It doesn't say one of the angels who has the shofars, though. Here is our wording of another messenger, which we're piecing together if it could be these angels of these 7 assemblies. So we've mentioned that, and if this could be James, so he could also be one of the 24 elders, since he's also a Levite. But that concludes this for today. Thanks for joining, and Hashem bless you.